Hello and welcome to the Next Gen Racing YouTube channel for our feature video. It's probably our first feature video we've done for quite a while, and this is our Goodwood ANTEPOST video. We're going to be looking at the 5 feature races from the 5 days of Goodwood and give a selection in each race. We'll put these on the screen at the end in a kind of a lucky 31 format, and I'll tell you what, whoever makes the least profit, if any, will face some form of forfeit. We're yet to decide what that is, but we'll either let our viewers or Twitter, Jack will try and find a way of getting a good forfeit.
Okay.
Whoever makes the least profit, if any, will face forfeit. It'll be a lucky 31 with all the selections. It's not easy backing ANTEPOST, and we might not make any, but who knows? Maybe we make it an each way lucky 31, but we'll see. But Jack, it's fair to say that Goodwood, at the time this is going out, it's just over 2 weeks away until the opening day of the Qatar Goodwood Festival. It's definitely our favourite week of the year, isn't it?
Yeah, it's our favourite week of the year, of course. Being local guys to Goodwood, it's just an unbelievable 5 days of friends, seeing familiar faces, new faces, and of course some top-class racing. And hopefully, unlike last year, some good ground.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing. And Jack texted me, oh God, I wish he hadn't texted me. He texted saying, potentially expecting 30 degrees that week, Sam. And those who have been on and watched this channel before will know that we are still the worst weather forecasters in the history of weather forecasting. So, yeah, we'll have to see. But it is a great week. We have so many great friends who, a lot of them end up staying at my house. We have a few drinks, nice breakfast, head up to the course, and there's plenty to do afterwards at Goodwood. You've got the kennels up there, a lovely bar for those of you who have never been. Head to the kennels after racing, and plenty of other events after racing as well. Really fantastic festival, a real summer feel to it. And talking about Goodwood in our preview, our actual Goodwood preview will not be on course this year, which is a bit unfortunate. However, we're going to have kind of a nice sort of summary look to our Goodwood preview this year. Potentially a special guest for both episodes. We'll have it in 2 parts again, but we will update you on that on social media, on our Twitter page, when that is announced. So let's move into the racing. The feature on day 1 is the Goodwood Cup, a Group 1 over 2 miles. The ANTEPOST market looks like this currently. Kyprios and Trueshan are your favourites at 11-4. Stradivarius and Mojo Star joint second favourites at 7-2. Minoba, a horse we haven't seen for a little while, 8-1. Eldaroff and Sonny Boy Liston 12-1. Coltrane and Princess Zoe 14-1 and 16-1 and bigger. The rest of them in here. Right, this is going to be interesting because Stradivarius is going for his 5th Goodwood Cup, and it's fair to say that in regards to my heart and everything I have in my heart, that I will be backing Stradivarius, because I don't want to be the only person at Goodwood who isn't on him, because you just know that he is going to bring the house down if he gets a 5th Goodwood Cup. The atmosphere when, I think, what was the one before COVID? It would have been his 3rd, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, before COVID. We obviously missed the 4th because we weren't able to be there. But when he came front of the stands, up in the members box, right at the top of the stands, the noise level was just sensational. And I can't imagine what it would be like again with a full crowd with his 5th Goodwood Cup. I'd love to see it. And I do think he has a chance in here. Obviously, we've got to discuss the Ascot Gold Cup, because was he unlucky? Was he not? Is Kyprios still pulling out enough at the line that, you know, Stradivarius would never be passing? Obviously had a torrid time of things. Frankie was mentioned by the owners after the interview saying it wasn't his best ride in the world, and watching it back, it probably wasn't. And Frankie, he's probably admitting that himself. But this horse here at Goodwood, he doesn't mind having to pull out wide and come late. I think this kind of horse, he can come wide right on the bend and just keep his straight line from there and go. And I just think 7-2, Jack, I'm going to be putting him up against the likes of Trueshan and Kyprios if we get good ground. Is that a weird thing to say?
No, I don't actually think it is. The Ascot Gold Cup was a really odd race. If you look at it from a sectional point of view, they kind of went a cruel early doors and then a sprint late on. The last 3 furlongs were the quickest final 3 furlongs. I've only got the data back to 2006, but I mean, it was quicker than anything back to 2006. They finished at 113% finishing speed that day. I'm very surprised Kyprios did get up in the end and rally. I thought Mojo Star was gonna land the spoils, if I'm being honest. I do think it is going to be between Mojo Star and Stradivarius. I think Stradivarius still has that potent turn of foot that we see. I think Frankie kind of gave up a little bit, as we see him when he's in his losing drive somewhat. And if I'm being honest, I think Mojo Star's probably marginally the one to beat, but I really wouldn't put Stradivarius too far away. He's got the course form. He clearly stays if there is something up up top, which is going to set a decent early fractions. I think he's definitely going to stay better than the likes of a Mojo Star or Kyprios. I think we can rule out, hopefully, the ground's going to be too firm for Trushan.
Yeah.
And there's also a couple in there which are very interesting. You've got Eldar Eldarov, of course,
Very
the Queen's Vase winner. If Roger Farian decides to step him up to this, that's very intriguing. Don't get me wrong, I won't be backing him at 12-1 at the moment. If he does get confirmed, I think it's an unbelievable decision, perhaps. And then, of course, you've got the likes of Coltrane in there as well, who is the definition of progressive overstaying trips.
Nowhere, isn't he, really?
Absolutely out of nowhere. So it'd be interesting to see as well if he decides to come here. But look, there's quite a few in there that you kind of scratch your head at. I think it is between Mojo Star and Stradivarius. I'm probably going to see if there's an early reverse forecast price out there, because why not? I think Kyprios is hopefully going to get beaten, and hopefully Mojo Star and Stradivarius will be there battling at the line.
And the number one selection out of those two will be?
I'm going to have to go Mojo Star.
I'm going to remind you of this when he wins and say that you deserve
this is an anti-post pick. A lot can change in 2.5 weeks, okay? A lot can change.
I think you're completely right. Trushan's probably not going to run if we get the ground, that 30-degree heat that Jack's saying that we're going to be getting. Eldarov is interesting for Varian. Obviously, potentially could go on to a ledger after this. Something that Aidan O'Brien has liked to do in this race briefly. Send a 3-year-old up to 2 miles and then end up... Likes Santiago. They have other horses as well. I might be wrong in saying... Idaho might have gone for this. There's been a few that have gone for this race before and dropped back, and it has worked out quite well for him. But yeah, Eldarov is very interesting. Listen to what Varian said. There are a few options for him, but if he were in here, he could be absolutely anything over 2 miles. And Coltrane I do find interesting at each way angle, because he just seems to getting better and better. And you know, there's nothing to say if the likes of Trushan came out of this that he could sneak a place and be one of the shocks of the race. So wouldn't be surprised to see Coltrane coming home with his late run. Now let's go on to day 2 now, and the feature is the Sussex Stakes. A Group 1 over a mile. Bide is best priced 2-1 on at this moment in time. Caribus 11-4. Native Trail 7-1. Aldari and Real World 12-1 and 20-1 bar these. A bit of a boring race to preview, I suppose, ANTEPOST, isn't it? Because even ANTEPOST, you're not going to be backing this horse at 2-1 on, because you don't even know if he's running. You know, if you're going to be backing ANTEPOST, you want a fair little bit of return, don't you? Even if the horse doesn't run, you want to be able to say, well, look, at least we tried. But if you're backing Bide and having £200 on to win 100, it's not the best bet in the world, to be totally honest. If he's that on the day, then potentially he could be like not the worst bet in the world. But what do you make of Bide in here? If he does turn up in the form that he's been in, is he just going to win it?
Yeah, simple as that. I think if he was 2-1 on the day, I think that would actually be value.
Yeah.
I think he probably goes off 4-1 on, 7-2 on, depending if Caribus goes, and even if Caribus does go, he doesn't have the 3-year-old mile division at his mercy, let alone Bide. So it's a very interesting sea of blue for Shadwell and Godolphin at the top of the market. So it'll be interesting to see whether they send out Dari here or not. Of course, they got Native Trail. Of course, Godolphin have Native Trail. Real World, I'd like to see come here. I think they may step him up to 1.25 miles, but I thought the last 2 furlongs behind Bide, he did pull very well, clear of third. So I would really like to see him here. And Modern Games is very interesting as well. If he does step down to 1 mile, I think he is an out-and-out miler. So hopefully he'll be able to come here as well. And then, of course, you've got Bathrat Leon, the old Godolphin mile winner, Japanese contender who's come over. And have you seen what they've got on him?
I love it, yeah. And with the Japanese Raider that we had in the July Cup, only yesterday, I bet. Yeah, it's very interesting to see this headgear and the socks, and they look fantastic and look like a proper weapon. Whether Bathrat Leon can show that, I'm not quite sure, but yeah, it is interesting, Jack.
Yeah, but look, of course, if Bide turns up, Bide wins. Am I going to tip up something each way now? No, because I don't know what's going to go. You look at Real World, he'd be my pick, but I think they may step him up to 1.25 miles, and if they do, I have egg on my face.
Yeah, I'm completely in agreement. I just think that Real World, if we knew this horse was definitely going to be going here, potentially isn't the worst bet in the world each way. The horse that loves finishing behind Bide, but obviously could go for the judgment. Or something like that. They could leave the horse fresh for that, but it'll be interesting to see. Caribus is fascinating. Obviously won the St James Palace, possibly lucky to win the St James's Palace. Let's not mention Mal Jim's name, but gets the weight from Bide. It'd be the first time that Bide had to encounter the 3-year-olds and give some of this weight away to someone like Caribus. But I don't know whether... I mean, we saw Native Trail not run the worst race in the world in the Eclipse a couple of weekends ago, and maybe the Guineas isn't as bad as I first thought. Do you think Caribus, what do you make of his chances in here? Do you think that he could end up being in that top 3, or do you think he's possibly even a place late in here? If they turned up and this is the market on the day, let's say, would he be a place lay, or do you think he'll be bang there?
I think he'd probably be a place layer. I could see him finishing 4th or 5th. Out of the Godolphin contenders, it may be an outlandish view, but I'd probably fancy Modern Games to probably finish ahead of them all, bar Real World. So if you take the Charlie Appleby contenders, I actually think Modern Games is the most out-and-out miler, and we saw that in the French 2000 Guineas. We saw that last year at the Breeders' Cup. I think he does have the potent turn of foot out of the 3, which would probably be seen to best effect at Goodwood. So Caribus would be the place lay at the moment, and Modern Games probably of the 3 Charlie Appleby contenders.
Yeah. Look at that. Jack mentioned earlier, Bide, Shadwell, Caribus, Godolphin, Native Trail, Godolphin, Aldari, Shadwell, Real World, Godolphin, Modern Games, Godolphin. We don't. It's weird. We don't have anything from Aidan O'Brien that's really shown anything in the market. Maybe Order of Australia could outrun his odds. I was quite impressed by that horse's run in the Queen Anne. If turning up on the day and this race cuts, I'll be intrigued to see what price Order of Australia is. I don't think he ran the worst race in the world. And I think he's what price is he? I don't know if you got the market.
I think he's about 25 to 1.
25 to 1 currently. Okay, yeah. Probably not going to be going off that price if coming here, but that'll be interesting. And nothing from Judgment either, which is a massive shame. But yeah, look, Bide at the moment looks like the winner. We're probably both going to have to put that in the lucky 31.
It's a shame.
But look, it's not going to be a selection. We're not actually going to be putting that up. But for the rules of the forfeit bet, we'll both put Bide in there to try and make up the numbers. Let's go on to the feature race on day 3, which is the Sussex Stakes. It's a Group 1 over 1.25 miles for the fillies and mares. A race that, taking this back a couple of years ago when Next Gen Racing originally started. Jack joined me the first time Jack and I ever spoke to each other, I believe, actually, and we previewed the Goodwood Festival, us two and Charlie Sharp, Racing Sharp on Twitter. We did a preview of this race, and Jack and I both, Jack was probably a bigger fan of the horse than me, but I fancied the horse well. But Fancy Blue for the Donick O'Brien team, probably one of my favourite winners of the race. And I know what you're going to do, because I think you actually did this last year.
I have no shame in saying that Fancy Blue is still my wallpaper. I don't know if you can see it. You've got starters order 7
Jack's
on there as well.
wallpaper is still Fancy Blue, a horse that he's very, very fond of. And we put this horse up. I can't remember what the price was that. 7 to 2 maybe we put it up?
4 to 1.
4 to 1, yeah. Around that, yeah. So it's a race that Jack seems to like. I know he's a little bit of a fan of one in here. Let's look at the market currently. Nashwa, your Prix de Diane winners 2 to 1. In Spiral, 3 to 1. Le Petit Coco Tuesday, Maestra, 8 to 1. Lilac Road, 12 to 1. Slightly bigger, the rest of them in here. In Spiral would be interesting if coming to this race, stepping up to a mile. So I know there is the urge to step her up. Whether they step her up so quickly, it's yet to be seen. But Nashwa, for me, is probably one of my better bets at the moment. I'd love to see Nashwa turn up. I know that if she turns up, she's not going to be 2 to 1. I expect her to potentially be even money. That depends on Inspiral. Runs. If Inspiral doesn't run, she's going to be even money, probably even shorter in here, but really looks like a clear standout favourite to me, and I just don't think she'll be beaten. I was so impressed by the way that she ran out in France in the Diane, and I thought she wasn't that disappointing either in the Oaks. So yeah, Nashwa for me. I think Holly Daw will be a great Group 1 for her at Goodwood. Obviously, she's won the Goodwood Cup on Trushan last year, but Nashwa, I think that could be her Group 1 at the Qatar Goodwood Festival. Jack, Nashwa, a worthy favourite for you, but you want to try and take her on?
Yeah, 100% she's a worthy favourite. She's kind of a tricky price at the moment, because if she was 4 to 1, I'd say it's an absolutely stonking bet, and it's an absolutely cracking bet, because they have to give her £9.
She was, wasn't she? Only a week or so ago, she was around 9 to 2.
She was, yeah, when Inspiral was kind of up in the air where they were both going. But if Inspiral does come here, look, she's got it. She's got it all to lose, hasn't she? I mean, coming from the Prix de Diane to here is a very route I'm fond of, surely, especially when they have to give her £9. But look, I think 1.25 miles on quick ground is literally exactly what she wants. I think she's still a very speedy filly. I thought she did well to stay the 1.5 miles and finish 3rd in the Oaks, as you did say. But I am a huge fan of Dream Loper for Ed Walker, the 5-year-old, of course. Kieran Schumart will be on board, as he was Lady Bowthorpe when winning the NASA last year, which is interesting. I think she's come on leaps and bounds as a 5-year-old this year. I remember last year when I actually tipped her up over a mile at Ascot, she won by 4.5 lengths, beating Light Sod, and Oshin was on board that day. And that just cemented the fact that she does want quick ground. And I think last time out in the Pretty Polly at the Curragh, over 1.25 miles, the ground was just too soft for her. If I'm being honest, I think it was too soft for her in the pre-disband as well, over 1.25 miles. It wasn't the strongest race, but she won it by 2 lengths and recorded her first Group 1. And then, of course, at Newmarket, over 9 furlongs in the Dahlia Stakes before that, she went and won. Thereafter, she's still 14-1. Ed Walker said this is definitely the plan. She'll need to take a step forward. She's giving £9 away to the 3-year-olds, but I think 14-1 is an unbelievable each-way price. I think she goes off 6-1, 7-1. I really can't see her out of the frame, and I think 1.25 miles on quick ground is going to be definitely down her street. So Dream Loper for me at 14-1.
I'm in total shock. I really am.
Why was that?
Because you're liking an Ed Walker filly.
It's
over
bad,
again.
isn't it? It's bad.
Yeah,
It
you
is
need
bad.
to stop this addiction to Ed Walker fillies. It
Sorry,
really
Ed.
needs to stop.
I'm cursing his
I'd like to
fillies.
see, maybe, I'll tell you what, go away over the next week or so and just look at Ed Walker's strike rate with fillies and just see how well you'd be doing. I'd be intrigued to see what the returns are, to a pound. But in all fairness, let's get our head switched on. I do think that you're right with regards to Dream Loper. This race is going to cut up. And I do think she is going to be a lot shorter. If you're going to look for a price on Dream Loper, and let's say, what you got to do sometimes when you look at these ANTEPOST markets, look at it like it was on the day and think, is that horse overpriced? And then try and look at, the rest of the market and see where they're intended to go or whether you could fancy them for this race. And what Jack's done there with Dream Loper is seen the rest of the market and gone, do you know what, there could be a real crash in price, because a lot of these probably aren't going to turn up here. Some of them wanting some softer ground as well. And Haggis's interview saying about some of his horses not going here as well already, probably not going to be on the agenda. Obviously still entered, but could come out. So yeah, I don't think you're wrong there, Jack. I think the Dream Loper is going to be about 6-1, 7-1 shot on the day, and don't think that 14-1 is the worst price in the world. So I'm going to go for a shorty.
Shock? That's
yeah,
different, isn't
another
it?
shock.
That's different.
Nashwa 2-1, and Jack will be with Dream Loper for his each way lucky 31 at 14-1. The day 4 feature then, this isn't a Group 1, but it's a Group 2. It's the King George Qatar Stakes over 5 furlongs. Here are some real prices to get stuck into. Romantic Proposal and Twilight Calls your joint 6-1 favourites. Cadamosto, Floaters, Rasil, Royal Acclaim, and last year's winner Swayzer. They're 8-1. 10-1 about Mitbahi and Cardem, and 12-1 bar those. Start off with last year's winner Swayzer, who was very good. I remember this horse was banging in the first 2 years of Swayzer's career, banging in wins left, right and centre, obviously including this race. But she's been well beaten the last twice, and at the back of last season as well. It just hasn't quite gone for her this season. I'm not sure she's going into the race in the same form. Do you think she'll probably take up this target?
I don't actually know, because she was beaten in Leicester company by, I think it was Bernoy or Bernoy.
It was a horse I put up on the Dubai Cup night, I think, for a sprint. Yeah.
Silly odds on price in France last time out. She clearly needs the soft ground, but I mean, at the Dubai World Cup night, I thought she was a cracking bet. But look, she hasn't been able to call on any of that form whatsoever this year. I think it's a cracking race, ANTEPOST. There's usually one in there. Batash is now gone, bless him. So I think it's a great race to look in there. I mean, you've got about 30 horses who are about 25-1 and under, from Pontos, your selection in the King's Stand, all the way down to Dragon Symbol, who will win a big one, let's not forget, ladies and gents, as Sam loves to remind us of. I was a huge fan of Twilight Calls. I think he's a very strong traveller. 6-1, there's not too much room in that price, but I think he's got a respectable chance. But I'm going to probably go for Mitbahi, who was second in the Coral Charge. I think he probably should have won the Coral Charge.
Yeah, probably.
Unfortunately, Roger Varian thought he was going to get out from the inside rail. He couldn't really get out, but he won so comfortably the time before that. He's just a very progressive 3-year-old. Batash went and won the Coral Charge back in the day. I'm not saying he's going to be any kind of Batash, but he's a double-figure price, and hopefully, if this is the intended target, hopefully he'll be able to use that 3-year-old allowance to good effect.
Okay, Mitbahi, 10-1. You're adding some price in here. Mitbahi did take the eye, and I actually did fancy the horse for the Coral Charge. I know you napped that horse up as well. Looking at the market, I thought Flotus was very interesting looking at the market. She's obviously won at Goodwood. I think that was a debut, was at Goodwood. Won on soft ground, but again, a horse over 5, just it hasn't worked out for her. I think 6 is where she needs to be. I'd be surprised if she takes up this. Swayzer would be very interesting if coming here. I don't know. You never know these horses, especially these fillies. They can come back to form, and Swayzer could just do that. You wouldn't be shocked to see it. And Jack mentioned there, and a horse that's probably going to win it. Actually, I think will win it. Twilight Calls. I think the form of the King's Stand is very strong. Nature Strip won the race, but this horse was, fairly clear of the rest of them in behind. I thought that Equilateral, who was also in that King's Stand, was unlucky in that Coral Charge. I mean, you said Mitt Barhi should have won it. Equilateral probably should have finished second if that's the case. Maybe even should have challenged Mitt Barhi. I was quite impressed by that run. And yeah, I just think that, with regards to Nature Strip, this horse is now, I think, the second best horse in the world from what I know. And, you've got a horse like this finishing second in behind. You look at the rest of this market and go, really, are they up to that sort of level of challenging a horse of that level? And Twilight Calls, I know, didn't push Nature Strip, but was second. And I just think this could work out quite well. I think that Goodwood will suit Twilight Calls, and this will be the big day this season. So, yeah, Twilight Calls for me, it's 6-1. I'm going to be putting this in my lucky 31, and Jack will be putting the unlucky Coral Charge horse Mitt Barhi, who's currently 10-1.
With also a mention for Twilight Calls.
Big mention, yeah. But what do you want in the lucky 31?
I'll go Mitt Barhi. I just think Twilight Calls is a bit too short at 6-1.
Okay, fine. There we go. That will come back to bite you, I bet.
Again, we've got 2.5 weeks to change your mind.
No,
We've got 2.5 weeks to change your mind.
But this feature video is going to go out. It's going to be on screen, and you're going to have to suffer with whatever you've got. In terms of Goodwood preview, you can change your mind. That's allowed. We did that last year. That's always allowed. But in terms of the rules of this, you can't change it. So the final feature race, let's go on to that. And this comes on a Saturday. Yes, it's a handicap. The Stewards Cup, 6 furlongs. Runners spread across the South Downs track. Absolute minefield. Pop Master is your 12-1 favourite. Great Ambassador and Jumby 14-1. 16-1 about Chill, First Folio, Nahar, and Tan Mawi. I'm going to say another name. Every video one will try and catch me out. And 20-1 and bigger the rest of these. Carnage, Jack. I'll have one lead in for you here, and it's just going to be good luck.
Yeah. Quite frankly, I don't really know how to say this, but I'm just going to say it. I hate the Stewards Cup.
Do you?
I really don't like it,
You should tell my dad that. This is my dad's favourite race of the whole year.
Yeah, I know.
He loves
bad.
This race.
It's bad. 28 go hurtling down the South Downs, 6 furlongs, and it's over in a flash. But there's just so many bad luck stories. You never get your run, you never get any value, and never pick the winner. So, I mean, it's an interesting one. I love Great Ambassador as a horse. I think he's off 107 now. I think he's £10 higher than he was. £11 higher than he was when he was third last year. I still think he's got a big race in him. Is it in a handicap? Maybe not. If I was going to stick my neck out for one at the moment, it would be First Folio, who is off the exact same mark as he was last year when he was well fancied but finished 20th in the race, which was it was actually in the consolation race where he was 20th. But I mean, from then, I think he has taken steps forward. He was 6th last time out of Royal Ascot in the Wokingham, and I think he's actually off the same. He's actually off £1 lower than that. So I do think he's actually quite well treated. He's a 4-year-old who I still think could be on the up. So First Folio 16-1 at the moment. He's off the same mark as he was when disappointed on soft ground last year. Hopefully he'll be able to bounce back in this year's Stewards Cup.
And this is definitely not going to be the most confident selection from either of us, because this is a minefield on the day, let alone a few weeks prior. I will be putting up Inver Park, who won the Buckingham Palace Stakes at Royal Ascot. I think that race could turn out to be a very good race, and I'll probably explain more about that when we go into our other selections. But yeah, I do think that Inver Park, only up £4 potentially, if going for this race, would be my selection in here. I do like Chill. Chill's a horse that I've got a lot of time for, currently 16-1, but I am going to put up Inver Park. What price is Inver Park?
I think it's about 14-1.
Okay, right. We'll have a look. Whatever price it was, we'll have on screen for that one there. Right, let's put the Lucky 31 on screen now so you guys can see it. They're the 5 feature races. They are our selections. We'll have another screen up in a second with other selections for the meeting. And this is where it gets a little bit more exciting, because there are other markets available and other races that you can look into at the moment. And a lot of the races that are up at the moment are races that I've paid more attention to and potentially have stronger fancies in. Let's start off with a race that we actually fancy the same horse in at a big price, and it's the Lennox, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And we like a horse for a man who is in fine form and has been all season. It's William Haggis, and we both like Sacred, don't we?
Yes.
Tell the viewers a little bit more about Sacred and why you think this race should suit.
Oh, Sacred. I mean, she's come on leaps and bounds since winning as a 2-year-old. Sorry, she finished. Where did she finish second as a 2-year-old? In the Flying Childers, when I thought she should have won. 11-10 favourite. But look, I mean, her performance, final performance last year in the Hungerford Stakes when she beat Lennox, she travelled an absolute dream, and her turn of foot over 7 furlongs was absolutely perfect. I didn't know whether they were going to step her up to a mile or drop her down to 6. At Ascot, they chose to drop her down to 6 in the Platinum Jubilee. She finished beaten a length in 5th, staying on at the line. I think 7 furlongs. There aren't too many 7 furlong races on good ground, but this is definitely one of them. She's 20-1 at the moment. If this is the intended target, I think 20-1 is an absolutely cracking price, if I'm being honest. I think William Haggis is going to win this race, because if Sacred doesn't go and we have good ground, I think that probably means Aldari's going to go. And if Aldari's going to go, we definitely won't be having 5-1. We'll probably be having even money about him. So it'd be interesting to see where he goes, because I mean, he destroyed Bouncer Blues at Haydock last time out in listed company. So I mean, if Aldari does go, I think he's going to win. But hopefully Sacred goes at 20-1. I'll probably have a little anti-post flutter on both of them, just in case, because I think one of them will turn up, and I think either of them will win.
Okay, yeah, me and Jack, we probably should have won the Lennox last year, shouldn't we? We don't want to talk about it too much, do we?
Nap of the festival, wasn't it? A joint nap of the festival.
It was a joint nap of the festival.
Space Blues.
The ground went against us massively, and if the ground had gone for us, I can tell you now that Space Blues would have easily won that race.
He was unbeaten since, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's such a shame. But yeah, we'll put our focus in this race again. So yeah, William Haggis for Jack. Either way, he should be winning this race. I do like Sacred. Aldari's an interesting one. I do think if the ground were to come up soft, I mean, we're still expecting potentially this good ground to come up. But if it did come up on the soft side, last year's winner Kinross would be really fascinating. I think Kinross would run a good race again. But yeah, Sacred would be one of the more popular each way bets for myself and Jack, along with Aldari for Jack. I mentioned Rafe Beckett's horse Kinross there, and this is at the moment my best anti-post bet for the festival. And it comes in my favourite handicap of the year, Jack. What's my favourite handicap of the year?
It's the Golden Mile,
Sam. It is the Golden Mile. And I did last year on this channel tip up Anti-Post Made Danny.
You did, yeah.
For the race at a decent price after finishing second in the Coral Challenge at Sandown. Now, I like a horse in here called Star of Orion, who's dropped down to a mark of 96 from the Buckingham Palace. We just mentioned the Buckingham Palace and how good that race could have been. Now, the horse finished 13th in that race there, and I watched the race, and I
tipped him up.
Yeah, I text one of the lads in the office, and I went, "Did you see Star of Orion?" And they were like, "Yeah," and I was like, well, "God, probably should have finished a lot closer." The horse, well, at the start, was right out the back of the field to begin with, then got checked maybe I think it's 3 times. Go back and watch it. Go back and watch the Buckingham Palace Stakes. But it's the most awful run you could expect. Stuck in so many pockets when trying to go, and finished with a decent flourish. I've got a feeling that this horse has a big run in it. And the reason I've gone for a horse that's not Mark Johnson's in the Golden Mile is because Mark Johnson doesn't have as many ends as I thought he would. He does have a really good record in this race, Johnson, but Rafe Beckett's not a man you'd associate with this. But in the history of the Golden Mile, 4-year-olds have an extremely good record in this race. They really do, and I just got a feeling that Star of Orion, I said to the guy in the office, I said, this horse will have his big day. And I've got a feeling the Golden Mile is going to be Star of Orion.
I think his big day may come 6 days earlier in the Moet Chandon handicap stakes, where he finished second last year at Ascot. Because I remember that day he finished second to, I think it was Dania, and it was the fastest 7 furlong time recorded in Ascot's history. And I think he may just, either he's going to be wet, otherwise he could be very well in off a penalty.
I don't know.
If so, it'd be interesting to see which one he chooses to go to, because I know Rafe Beckett loves Goodwood.
He does, and I just don't know. I mean, I've seen the entries and where this horse has entered, and potentially, this horse could go for something like that, and I'm sure that's potentially on the agenda as well. But the way this horse ran Ascot last time, I'd be avoiding it like the plague if you go for another big field. It was torrid, and I know Goodwood's not the best place to be for clear runs, but I'd love to see this horse run. I just think that wherever this horse runs next is going to be a far too big a price no matter what. I think 25-1 is a fair price. Have you got the Golden Mile market up?
I do. I do indeed.
What's the other one I've got down here was the Owen Burrows horse in the Shadwell colours.
Alfela.
Yeah,
14 to 1.
Yeah, I just thought that Alfela was very interesting. Owen Burrows is a trainer that I haven't, not a trainer that everyone really latches onto, to be totally honest. He's a very good trainer, don't get me wrong, with the likes of Huckham. But yeah, Shadwell won it last year with Maidani. I thought Alfredo was very interesting. The last run was fascinating. Finished with a real good late flourish. That was in the Jersey Stakes. Go back and watch that one back as well. I don't know if the plan will be to go, because I think this horse is actually was entered during the July Festival. So this video is going out after that. But yeah, I'd be intrigued to know. But either of those would be the ones. But I do like Star of Orion wherever this horse goes. But Star of Orion for the Golden Mile. If not, Alflela for the Owen Burrows team would be the other one that would be on my agenda. Jack, have you got anything else? Sorry, I've given a real big speech there.
That's okay. Clearpoint has caused me so much pain. He didn't go to the Norfolk. He didn't go to the July Stakes. I think he's either going to go to the Moulton, but I'm pretty sure they'll send him to the Richmond instead. That's where Perfect Power went last year, and hopefully there's no market out available, but hopefully Clearpoint is the Richmond Stakes winner, and they're just keeping him just for that Group 2 at Goodwood, which I know Richard Fahey loves. So hopefully Clearpoint wins the Richmond Stakes.
There we go, Clearpoint in the Richmond Stakes. There's a few other selections on the screen now that we'll be looking forward to going into Goodwood. And that's it for our feature video. We're going to be back next weekend with our preview of the Irish Oaks and the Newbury Super Sprint. So do look out for that one. Looking forward to the Irish Oaks, the return of Emily Upjohn. Let us know down in the comments if you have had any anti-post bets for Goodwood. I mean, not everyone's going to be at this time. It's not your big anti-post market. Usually Cheltenham and Royal Ascot are the ones people really focus on. But let us know if you have had a bet and what prices you've managed to get horses at for Goodwood, because we will be intrigued to know. But as always, do like and subscribe, and we will see you again next weekend for our Irish Oaks and Newbury Super Sprint preview. Thanks for watching.